Pause. She glanced down for a moment, took a deep breath, and leaned back toward the microphone. In that instant, the energy inside the room completely changed. "I think I was able to reach a really good level of tennis today," Alex said calmly as the press conference continued. I don't think it was an easy win for her. She spoke about her movement on clay, the improvements she had made since last season, and the hard work her team had quietly put in behind the scenes. She even smiled when reporters mentioned the Philippine flags waving around the 40 Italico and the loud chants from Filipino fans echoing through the historic stadium. "I'm very happy with this week," she explained, "because I really do see the improvement on clay court, especially compared to my experience here last year." The journalists nodded as cameras continued rolling. Everything about the press conference felt normal. The questions were winding down, and it seemed like the interview was almost over. Then suddenly, Ella leaned closer to the microphone and softly said, "I have an announcement to make." The room instantly fell silent. Nobody moved. Nobody interrupted. "I've decided to take a step back," she continued. "Not from tennis, from everything else." The atmosphere inside the media room completely changed. Reporters who had attended hundreds of post-match press conferences suddenly realized this was becoming something far more personal than anyone expected. A's voice remained steady, but there was emotion behind every word. "I've been playing tennis since I was 4 years old," she said. "I've been traveling since I was 13. I've missed birthdays. I've missed holidays. I've missed moments with my family that I'll never get back." She paused for a moment as the room stayed completely silent. Even the sound of camera shutters had stopped. "And I've been okay with that," she continued quietly, "because I truly love the sport. Because I love representing the Philippines. Because I love seeing the flags in the crowd and hearing people chant my name." Alex Eala continued softly, her voice beginning to carry more emotion with every sentence. Her eyes briefly drifted upward as if searching for words that were difficult to say out loud. "But lately, I've been asking myself a question. A question I've honestly been afraid to answer." The room stayed completely silent. Reporters who had listened to Ella speak after victories and heartbreaking losses had never seen this side of her before. They had heard her discuss rankings, pressure, expectations, and the responsibility of carrying an entire nation's hopes on her shoulders. But they had never heard her speak with this kind of vulnerability. This was the same 20-year-old Filipina star who had stood across the net from world number 2 Elena Raikkonen without fear, who had battled through break points against top players on the biggest stages, and who had handled the pressure of representing more than 110 million Filipinos with remarkable maturity. Yet now, for the first time, she seemed to let her guard down completely. "What am I really playing for?" she finally asked. The words hung heavily in the air. Journalists slowly lowered their pens. Cameras zoomed in tighter. The quiet buzz that usually filled a working press room disappeared so completely that even the hum of the air conditioning became noticeable. "I've been thinking about that question a lot lately." Yellow admitted, her voice calm, but her expression revealing emotions nobody in the room had seen before. "Not about rankings, not about trophies, something deeper than that." She paused again, carefully choosing her next words. "I started playing tennis because I loved it, because it made me feel alive, because every time I stepped onto the court, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be." Her voice cracked slightly as she continued speaking. "But somewhere along the way, I started playing for different reasons. For the rankings, for the expectations, for the millions of people watching every match." Alex looked down at her hands for a moment before quietly adding, "And somewhere in all of that, I lost something. Something I didn't even realize I was losing." The press room was completely silent now. Every camera remained locked on her face. And the same 20-year-old who had stood fearlessly against world number 2 Elena Raikkonen only hours earlier was suddenly revealing a level of honesty nobody expected to hear. This was no longer just another tennis press conference. It was becoming the emotional moment everyone at the Italian Open would remember, because what Ella was about to announce had nothing to do with forehands, rankings, or trophies. It was about life. She took a deep breath and finally said the words that stunned the entire room. "I decided to take a break." Audible gasps could be heard around the media center. Reporters looked at one another in disbelief. "Not from tennis," she quickly clarified. "From the pressure." She paused, allowing the weight of her words to sink in before delivering the real shock. "I'm going to skip the French Open." The reaction inside the room was immediate. Journalists exchanged stunned glances as cameras zoomed in even closer. Roland Garros was the second Grand Slam of the season, the tournament every clay court player dreamed of competing in. Athletes spent months preparing for it, grinding through long clay seasons, adjusting their movement, building endurance, and shaping their entire schedules around Paris. And now, Alex was voluntarily stepping away from it. "My body needs rest. My mind needs rest," she explained calmly. "And I need to remember why I fell in love with this sport in the first place." Then she looked directly into the cameras and addressed the fans watching around the world. "I'm not retiring. I'm not quitting. I'm just pressing pause. So when I come back stronger." Moments later, the press conference ended. The cameras stopped rolling. But online, the story was only beginning. Within minutes, clips of Alex Eala's emotional announcement had spread across social media, and the entire tennis world was suddenly talking about one thing. Within hours, the hashtag #ALexBreak was trending worldwide. Fans, journalists, and athletes flooded social media with emotional reactions to the shocking announcement. "She's skipping the French Open after the best clay season of her career. This is massive," one fan wrote. Others praised her honesty and courage. "Mental health matters. Rest matters. She's finally putting herself first." Another post read, "The pressure of carrying an entire nation is real. If Alex needs a break, she deserves that break." Across the Philippines, major media outlets quickly turned the story into headline news. "Alex Eala prioritizes mental health, skips French Open." One headline read. Another called it a champion's wisdom, while others praised her decision to choose recovery over pressure and expectations. Tennis journalists around the world also weighed in, many describing the decision as almost unheard of for a player ranked number 38 who had just produced the strongest clay court performances of her career. One columnist wrote, "Most players would ride this momentum straight into Roland Garros, but Alex has never followed the traditional path. Why would this moment be any different?" Fellow athletes soon joined the conversation as messages of support poured in from across the tennis world. Coco Gauff, who understood the pressure of becoming a global star at a young age, posted a heartfelt message online. "Proud of you for putting yourself first. The court will still be there when you're ready." Naomi Osaka, who has openly discussed her own struggles with pressure and mental health, added another powerful response. "This takes courage. Real courage." She's setting an example for every young athlete watching. The announcement had already shaken the tennis world, and reactions continued spreading across social media every minute. But inside the press room, Alex Eala still wasn't finished speaking before standing up. From the podium, she leaned toward the microphone one final time. And what she said next revealed exactly why so many people believe she is different from every other rising star in tennis. "I know some of you will be disappointed," Alex said softly, her voice steady despite the emotion in the room. "I know some of you were planning to watch me in Paris, and I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry." She paused for a moment, her eyes beginning to glisten under the bright media lights. Then she continued with a promise that immediately resonated with everyone listening. "But I promise you this, when I come back, I'll be better. Not just as a player, but as a person, as a daughter, as someone representing our country." She looked directly into the cameras, speaking not just to the reporters in the room, but to millions of fans watching around the world. "The Philippine flags will fly again. The chants of Lebanon Alex will be heard again. But before that happens, I need to heal. I need to rest. And I need to remember why I fell in love with this sport in the first place." The room stayed completely silent. Journalists who had spent years covering athletes and listening to carefully rehearsed answers suddenly found themselves witnessing something rare. Pure honesty, and clichés, no media training. Just a 20-year-old athlete openly admitting the pressure had become too heavy to carry alone. "This isn't goodbye," Eala said with a small smile. "It's just see you later." Then she stood up from the podium, nodded respectfully toward the room, and slowly walked away. Alexa walked out of the Foro Italico Media Center with her announcement finally made, but the impact of that moment was only beginning. The tennis world would never forget what had just happened. A young Filipino star on the rise had voluntarily stepped away from the biggest clay court tournament of the season. Not because of an injury, not because she was forced to, but because she wanted to rediscover herself. Beyond the pressure, expectations, and spotlight, Roland Garros would continue without her. The Philippine flags would not wave inside the French Open this year. But somehow in that emotional moment, Alex Eala had become bigger than tennis itself. The chants of Lebanon Alex would not echo across the Parisian clay courts this year. The Philippine flags would not wave inside Roland Garros. But before leaving the podium, Alex had made one promise that stayed with everyone who heard it. "I will come back better," she said. Not just as a player, but as a person. The tennis world has seen young stars burn out before. It has seen talented prodigies crushed by expectations, overwhelmed by pressure, and consumed by the endless demands of professional sports. Careers filled with promise have disappeared almost as quickly as they began. But Alexa was choosing a different path. Instead of chasing immediate glory, she was choosing rest. Instead of protecting rankings and headlines, she was protecting herself. And instead of risking burnout for short-term success, she was thinking about the kind-of career and life she truly wanted to build. As she walked out of the 40 Italico Media Center, the impact of her decision was already spreading around the world. The 20-year-old Filipina star had done something almost unheard of in modern tennis. She voluntarily stepped away from the biggest tournament of the clay season, not because of injury, not because she was forced to, but because she realized she needed time to reconnect with herself beyond the pressure of competition. The French Open would continue without her. The spotlight in Paris would move on, but the message Alex Eala left behind was bigger than one tournament. It was a reminder that even elite athletes are human beings first. And while the chance-off lean Alex may temporarily fall silent on the courts of Roland Garros, fans everywhere now wait for the moment. Those chants return louder than ever, because Alexa didn't say goodbye to tennis. She simply promised that when she returns, she'll return stronger in every possible way. The tennis world has seen young stars burn out before. It has seen prodigies overwhelmed by pressure, crushed by expectations, and consumed by the nonstop demands of professional tennis. Talented careers have faded under the weight of fame long before reaching their full potential. But Alexa is choosing a different path. She is choosing rest over glory. She is choosing herself over rankings and headlines. And most importantly, she is choosing the possibility of a long, meaningful career over becoming another young star who burned too brightly too quickly. Before leaving the podium, Eala made one promise that continues to stay with fans around the world. "The Philippine flags will fly again," she said confidently. And now the biggest question in tennis feels surprisingly simple. When Alex Eala returns to the court, and there is little doubt that will she be the same fearless player who captured the world's attention in Rome, or will she come back even stronger than before? One thing is certain, her story is no longer just about tennis results. It is about courage, balance, sacrifice, and knowing when to step away before losing yourself completely. At the Italian Open, the 20-year-old Filipina star shocked the tennis world by announcing that she would skip the French Open to focus on her mental and physical recovery. The decision came after the best clay season of her young career, where she defeated world number 45 Magdalena Frech, dominated number 31 seed Wang Senu, and pushed world number 2 Elena Rybakina in a competitive third-round battle that earned respect across the sport. During her emotional press conference, Eala explained that the pressure of carrying an entire nation's expectations had finally caught up with her. "I'm not retiring. I'm not quitting. I'm just pressing pause," she said. "My body needs rest. My mind needs rest. And I need to remember why I started playing this sport in the first place." Despite climbing from world number 42 to number 38 during the tournament and earning over €79,000 in prize money, Eala chose health and self-care over chasing immediate success. Her decision quickly drew praise from fellow stars like Coco Gauff and Naomi Osaka, who applauded her courage for prioritizing her well-being in a sport that rarely slows down. "The Philippine flags will fly again," Eala promised the world before walking away from the podium. "But first I need to heal."